9 of the Season 2 leaderboard. What a huge tournament for Kevin. The race had gotten very, very close. It still is very close, but Kevin is the only one of the big 5 between him, Danny Jessup, Ross Merriam, can't forget about Gerard Fabiano and Joe Lissette. He was the only one to make top 8. So he did it when it mattered most here this weekend.
You got the sense that over the last month or so, the race was kind of slipping away from Kevin. He had a substantial lead. Slowly, that was decaying due to his lack of good performances on the Open Series. He kept his head above water by grinding away at the IQs, had some very good performances on Sundays at some of these Opens, on his local scene as well. But he really needed this, a big shot in the arm, and potentially an opportunity for him to have a huge lead going into Columbus in 2 weeks.
David Long is on a mulligan to 5, while Kevin Jones on a mulligan to 6. However, David does have a gamble to start. You have to imagine that's going to be for a life from the Loam, and discard of Thespian Stage there for Long. We'll get things underway here at our quarterfinals from Worcester. Jones looking at a flooded strand in hand, has a copy of Umezawa's Chite over there. Keep in mind, both players have access to each other's deck lists, and they know exactly what they're up against. And for Kevin, you know you're in for a tough matchup here. But you will start things off with a Ponder.
Something that's nice for Kevin is he has access to Swords and Plowshares naturally in his deck, and that means that David can't go for broke just getting Thespian Stage Splits Archetype online. We saw David and other Lands players over the course of this tournament be very aggressive in matchups like Temur Delver, for example, where there's no hope of removing Merit Liege from the table. But David can simply take his time and go on the mana denial route.
It's time for a Ponder. Take a look at a couple of cards. Force of Will among them here for Jones. Long will draw a card. There's Caracas, and here's Life and Loam. Get back Thespian Stage, get that engine online.
Yep. And now it's really important for Kevin to be getting threats into play.
Yep.
Because this game will get out of control pretty quickly if he doesn't apply some pressure.
Here's a Stoneforge Mystic. Batter Skull's on top of the deck. That's going to go into Jones's hand. He knew it was there already from the Ponder. So he'll shuffle up his deck as he did search for the equipment after all. And that'll be Kevin's turn. Now what's interesting here is now he's finally got some pressure in play. Will he be able to counterspell Life in the Loam long enough to stop it from really getting going?
That's kind of the Temur Delver game plan, is get a Delver or a Nimble Mongoose into play and use Spell Pierces and Dazes to keep the Loam player off balance long enough before their shop gets set up. It's much harder for Kevin to do that. He doesn't have the same density of cheap, free counterspells, and he doesn't have the same pressure either.
Long gonna dredge the Life in the Loam. Tranquil Thicket, Exploration, and Crop Rotation are the cards that have been turned over. See if Long has any interest in casting Loam this turn to get back that Tranquil Thicket. We will see. Again, Long did mulligan to 5, so he's not operating with as many cards as normal. He's going to start by firing off a Wasteland to take care of that Tundra, and now he'll go for a Life from the Loam to get back Wasteland and Tranquil Thicket. Jones with a Force of Will will bring him down to 18. Going to counter Loam this go around. Can't counter forever, obviously, but he's got to counter it for long enough to get the equipment into play.
There is nothing else Force of Will can really do in the matchup. I mean, on the first turn of the game, you can use it to fight over Exploration or Gamble, but at this point, the game's all about Loam. David's just going to be casting it every single turn of the game, and so Force of Will's not going to do very much more than that. Might as well get it out of the way.
Kevin is brainstorming here, which means that Batter Skull will not be entering the battlefield via Stoneforge Mystic this turn. Kevin only had one land, so that Wasteland was a good one. However, he did find another one here. 2 cards are going to go back. Swords of Plowshare is going to be one of them. That card's not all that relevant in this matchup either. Here comes Old Stoneforge. We'll see if Kevin wants to play a land or not. He does not want to because he doesn't want to get it Wastelanded. So, Long will dredge, and he'll turn over Punishing Fire and 2 copies of Rashad Import. You see the engine really starting to get online now.
A bit of a squeeze here, because if you hold your lands back, Rashad Import becomes much more powerful.
There's a Loam. See what he wants to target. Remember, last time it didn't resolve. And Kevin does have another Forcible in his hand and some blue cards to remove. So we'll see if he wants to go that route again and counter the Life in Loam. Remember, can't counter this thing forever. Only has so many. Looks like Loam is going to resolve this time, however. There's Thespian Stage. Pass the turn back. Will Long over to Jones. Jones probably going to play that Tundra now.
I mean, he has to get Batter Skull into play and just hope that, combined with Force of Will, can get it across the finish line. It's going to be really hard because Maze of Ith, variety of ways for David to lock the game out from this spot.
David will dredge a Gamble, a Crop Rotation, and a Mox Diamond. Loam back in the grip.
Now, saving grace here for Kevin is the fact that David does not have mana bonds or exploration in play.
Yep.
So Loam gives him a lot of selection and a lot of utility, but it's not allowing him to really get ahead in terms of the raw resource count in the game just yet. With exploration or mana bonds in play, Life from the Loam becomes an entirely different animal. Still quite powerful right now, and it's going to put a pretty big crimp on Kevin's mana going forward at the minimum. It's going to make the game hard for Kevin to win if David's able to find Mazavith, but it is not all doom and gloom just yet.
Here is Wasteland. Going to go after the Tundra. Kevin's going to float some mana predictably. Activate Stoneforge Mystic. Here is Batterskull. Trigger the Living Weapon. And there will be a Germ token here in just a moment. Quick update for you guys on one of our other matches. Noah Walker with his Grixis Delver deck is up a game here over Zachary Cook, who is playing Infect. Walker, the number 6 overall seed. Cook, number 3 overall seed. So Walker able to win on the draw there. Pretty impressive.
Yep. Not a matchup that I like from the Grixis side of things, but enough bolts, you can get it done.
Saw Life in the Loam there as well. Here's an attack for 5. Jones going to gain a little bit of life, but that doesn't matter all that much. He's up to 22, long down to 14. Long on tap, and he will dredge Life in the Loam, of course. Go over the Burn Willows, a forest, and a crop rotation here for David. And right now playing some relatively fair Magic at this point.
Well, with Dark Depths in hand alongside the Thespian Sage, if Kevin does not produce white mana, things might get unfair very quickly.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There is a bit of a risk on David's side. He's
Absolutely.
down 2 lands. He has no exploration in play. And so if Kevin rather either draws a white source and has Source of Plowshares or is sandbagging a white source of mana, David is behind quite a bit on tempo.
Well, we're going to find out real quick, aren't we?
Yeah.
Kevin will rub that card. He's hoping for the best here. See a Spell Pierce in hand, Force of Will 2. Council's Judgment, Dig Through Time. All very powerful cards, but he can't cast any of them at this point. And all he can do is pass the turn back. And if he's not attacking, I think we know what that means.
Yeah.
An Avatar token will be made here by David Long. Now for Kevin, what's super important is that he is at 22 and not 20.
He still has an opportunity if he has Source of Plowshares to draw white mana. Unfortunately, David gains so much life in that exchange that it's just hard for Kevin to win the game in time.
2020 Avatar token in play is attacking. So there's old Jerry T. Jones down to 2, Long up to 14.
Recently hatched out of the ice.
Yes. Didn't take very long.
Like a tombstone pizza.
Yeah.
Right out of the freezer.
Very nicely done there. I really gotta give it to you there. That might be your best work. Here's a Life in the Loam. That's gonna get Spell Pierced.
Might as well.
Hey, Kevin's actually done a nice job of countering Loam quite a few times, or countering it when he needs to. If he draws a white source, he might be okay.
He might be okay. It's going to take David a long time to reassemble. The problem is David going to 34.
Yes.
It's just a lot of time.
Looks like Kevin may have drawn a Scalding Tarn for the turn.
This assumes he has a Source of Plowshares to pair with it. If he does, the game goes on. I still think that he's in trouble, but Kevin is not at 0%.
There is an attack for 5. Jones will go up to 6. Long will go down to 9. Players look to be confirming life totals at this point. There is a Scalding Tarn. I'm sure Kevin wishes he could search for basic planes with that.
Source of Plowshares in hand.
Yep. Tough part here, as you mentioned, is it doesn't take a very long time to reassemble.
And the cost on Source of Plowshares, usually pretty negligible, is significant when Kevin does not have time on his side.
Yep.
I mean, it amounts to 4 full turns of attacking.
Attack for the win will be thwarted here, thanks to the Swords to Plowshares. You saw the Dredge of Loam, a wasteland, a misty rainforest, and a Rashadan Port went into the graveyard. The Swords to Plowshares puts Long up to 29. There is life in the Loam. Perhaps it's time to rebuild it.
Yeah, this is a pretty good sequence here for David as he can get back his combo pieces, play a combo piece this turn, end Wasteland Kevin, untap, play his other combo piece, and do it all again.
Grover the Burn Will is a nice option down there as well.
Yeah.
Please come see us at the stage.
I mean, give credit to Kevin. He's fighting this as best as he can.
This is all he can do.
Yeah.
The matchup is rough, and the draw that David has presented is even more difficult.
This is a feature of Legacy. Sometimes your opponent is up to asymmetrical warfare. The tools that you have just don't really interact with your opponent's game plan. This is that kind of matchup.
Now keep in mind, Life in the Loam has a target before it does resolve, so it targets up to 3 lands. And then Kevin can decide if he wants to counter it or not. Now, not much of a surprise Kevin's going to counter Life in the Loam, as I imagine Dave was looking to rebuild with Thespian Stage and Dark Depths.
Yeah, this amounts to a several turn reprieve as because there's no exploration in play on David's side of the table, it will take him 2 turns of land drops to reassemble the combo.
Yep. In the meantime, Jones is going to have to get busy. He's only got 1 land in play, however. He'll start by attacking for 5. Long's going to go down to 24. Jones is going to go up to 8.
He's only got 2 white sources of mana left in the entire deck.
That's not very many.
Excuse me, 3. He has a Caracas.
Okay.
But
Here's a Brainstorm.
he gets Caracas for 1 turn.
That's not very many turns either.
No. Make it count.
Brainstorm done resolving. Flooded Strand is the play.
Flood Strand, very nice here for Kevin. It allows him to get a basic plains.
Yep. Long going to quickly untap. He's dredging his Loam, of course. Why draw a card when you can draw 3? Dark Depths, Mana Bond, Mox Diamond. There is the Life of the Loam. So a couple of cards here. Got back the Depths, the Stage, and the Grove. Stage is the first land that will be played. Convenient that he can play that and still activate Rashadan Port this turn. Kevin asking me I draw a card, which means we're in his upkeep. David says, not yet. I'll tap your island. Cut you off of a mana.
We've got 6 spots remaining in the last draft.
Gentle draw.
The problem here, or one of the problems here for Kevin, is that he can't even bluff having a Swords to Plowshares, because if that's what he has, David again gains 20 life and just reassembles the combo over the course of several turns. So let's say David plays a Dark Depths next turn. Kevin can't even go untap, attack, represent Swords to Plowshares, try to prevent you from going for it, because the cost, if he does have it on David's side of the table, is so low that David will simply make a Merit Lage token and dare Kevin to Swords to Plowshares it.
Yeah. Perhaps it's time to dredge Loam again. I'll just take a draw. Maze of Ith is not a bad draw either.
Nope, not bad. I mean, would have found it with Loam potentially. But.
Sure. There's your Dark Depths. 10 counters, pass the turn back. Feeling confident and hard not to. You see the life totals here, 11 to 19.
11 to 19 in David's favor when Kevin has hit him with Batter Skull 5 or 6 times.
Yes. But Kevin is putting up a fight. He's taking a hit from a Dark Depths.
Yeah.
There is that. He's going to go down to 10. There's a basic plains. Good card to find.
Kevin's basics are very important in this matchup. When he got, I think this game really got determined when he was getting tagged by Wastelands early on in the game.
Yep. And he's going to get tagged by Wastelands a lot. Now, he does have 2 basic islands and 1 basic plains, and that's important.
Yep.
Time to come in. David not going to make a move here. Doesn't want to run into a card like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Council's Judgment, none of that stuff. Just take that damage when you're 19.
Yeah, in theory, David could port him inside of combat and then try to block, because at that point, you're really only looking at Swords of Plowshares. But with David having the life total that he has, there's just no reason to risk anything.
David's going to go back to 2020 land.
The only card that David can't really interact with is Swords to Plowshares. And if Kevin has that, that's fine from David's side of the table.
Yeah, it's not really much of a punishment. He just gains 20 life.
Yep.
As you said, that is just fine indeed. Loam will be dredged now. A couple of lands there in Windswept Heath, Wasteland, and Thespian Stage. All right, a good place to start is the red zone. David Long comes on in, and Kevin Jones will concede the game. So David Long is going to win game number 1 here over Kevin Jones. Lands up a game over Jeskai Stoneblade. Things going David's way so far as we take a look at the sideboard. If you're rooting for Kevin Jones, you got to hope he's got some good stuff in there. And he does have some good ones. 2 Blood Moon, not bad. 2 Meddling Mage, actually pretty good. 2 Rest in Peace, we can't forget about those. It's also 2 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Flusterstorm, Nahiri, the Lithomancer, a Sword of Feast and Famine, a Wear Tear, a Pyroblast, and a Grafdigger's Cage.
The 2 ofs at the top of the list there are really nice that you just mentioned. Blood Moon, Meddling Mage, Rest in Peace. Blood Moon has the potential to really mess David up big time. Meddling Mage and Rest in Peace, very good answers to life from the Loam. I think the Wear Tear will come in as well because there's quite a few enchantments hanging out in David's deck, and there's box diamonds as well.
On the other side there for David Long, you see the 4 Sphere of Resistance, 2 Trinisphere, 1 Choke, 4 Crozen Grip, 1 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, 1 Bajuka Bog, 1 Besager who shelters all, and 1 copy of Dark Depths.
Really like bringing in the 4 copies of Crozen Grip in this matchup. Kevin's got equipment, he's got Blood Moons in the sideboard, he's got Rest in Peace in the sideboard. I think all 4 copies of Crozen Grip are going to be coming in, and I think the Choke is reasonable bringing in here as well.
Yeah, Choke seems kind of sweet.
It's not game over, lights out kind of good against Kevin, but it's powerful enough to bring in.
Well, we will talk about the Season 3 schedule here on the Open Series. Kevin Jones currently leading Season 2, and this is our last individual event before we do go to the Season 2 Invitational at the Origins Game Fair in Columbus in 2 weeks. We'll kick off Season 3 with a pretty sweet Grand Prix in Charlotte.
Yeah, we go to Charlotte, then Indianapolis, Baltimore for a Senior Grand Prix. A couple weeks off, and then we go to Chicago for the first time in Open Series history. Back to Richmond for Standard Open. Legacy in Washington, D.C. A Standard Grand Prix in London on August 14th through 16th. A Modern Open Series in Charlotte, and then the Season 3 Invitational in the greatest state in the Union, New Jersey. Standard and Legacy as the invitational formats with a 2-day $20,000 Standard Open Series event, August 28th to 30th.
I think we have different definitions of greatest.
Yeah, mine is empirically.
I don't know what that word means.
Based on facts and evidence and data.
I don't know what those are either. We're having some real problems here. What I can't tell you, empirically, tell me if I use that right, that this is
sure.
the Season 3 playmat.
It's fine.
Did I use empirically right there?
This is Tassapur, the golden paw.
Look at him.
You get this for signing up for every Open Series event in Season 3, any of the 2-day $20,000 Open Series events, free of charge when you sign up at the door, available all throughout Season 3.
Empirically. I think I got it right.
We're getting there.
Perfect. Words are tough. I think as an editor of a website, I think I got it right.
Yeah, you would not edit it out of an article.
No, it just seems like it feels right.
Yeah.
So just leave it in. Paul Lynch has won game number 1 over Michael Dursko. Lynch playing Grixis Control. Again, he did have a deck tech for the Open Series Spotlight this week. So on Wednesday, look forward to that on the premium side of Star City Games, as Todd Anderson will be running that through a daily event. Death and Taxes down a game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Active player, please finish your turn.
Dirk's someone you know from the New Jersey days.
Yeah, he's sort of after my time in New Jersey, but he plays at the only game in town, the store that I used to play at, where Team Target used to be. And when I go back to New Jersey for the Open Series events and for the invitationals and so forth, I spend a lot of time over that store, and he's someone I've gotten to know over the last year or two because of that relationship.
Very nice. Well, he's got some work to do. He's down a game right now, but I know he likes Death and Taxes a lot, and he's had some deep runs with that deck in tournaments.
He loves that deck, and I love making fun of that deck.
I understand.
And so we have a pretty good working relationship.
That's why you guys get along so well.
Yeah.
That's good. Don't you go making fun of Death and Taxes. You can make some people really angry out there.
Oh, I know.
Okay?
Well, it's a charming deck, right? You get to play with all these random kind of mishmash of white creatures from Magic's history. The pieces interlock very nicely. You get some random power in Mother of Runes and Stoneforge Mystic. The utility creatures happen to be pretty powerful against some busted decks, so there's a charm there. It's just not for me.
You'll come around. Believe you me, you'll come around. The Burn Man. How's your Burn matchup against Death and Taxes?
I play 4 Searing Blaze main and 4 Searing Bloods in the board, so I'll play against that deck all day long.
So you're probably doing okay?
Yeah.
All right.
What's that, a creature with 3 or less toughness? Yeah, because that's all your deck is. All right, cool. It's instead.
So you're dead to Bermaz then?
Bermaz is really good.
Perfect. Got you taken care of. We got our first results. Noah Walker, winner, chicken dinner. He defeats Zachary Cook 2-0. Grixis Delver moving on. Takes care of Infect. Walker will play the winner of Lynch and Dirkso. Congratulations, Noah Walker, making a deeper run than he did in Providence. And in Providence, he made the top 8.
Very fast 2-game set
Yeah,
there.
didn't waste any time, I'll tell
No.
you. He must have a reservation Unos tonight or something. We'll see what Kevin can put together here for game number 2 as he is finishing sideboarding up. Tough matchup for him.
But he's got some tools in the sideboard. 2 copies of Blood Moon will beat David a percentage of games, especially if Kevin can get to it early. So Crozan Grip isn't something that David can leave up. Rest in Peace will knock David around a little bit in some of the games. If David doesn't have Crozan Grip, Kevin's sideboard cards are very good. And even if the Rest in Peace does get hit by Crozan Grip, if the Loam happens to be in David's graveyard, well, then he has to find another one to get anything really going. And Kevin certainly has some stinkers to remove from his deck, too. So sideboarding's fairly easy.
Does have some bad cards. Like
Supreme Verdict.
Lightning Bolt.
Spell Pierce.
That one's not very good, no.
Although Spell Pierce on the play still might be good enough because of Gamble and Exploration and so forth.
I'm not excited about it. It might be the kind of cards you have to leave in. You know, a card like Spell Snare, that can certainly go.
Spell Snare's a pretty efficient way of stopping Loam for a turn.
On the play, I mean, I don't love it. I think the cards that he has to bring in are just much better than it.
Yeah. But he's got good options. He can probably cut the Umazawa's Jitte without shedding any tears.
These players are going to shuffle up, get ready for game number 2. At SCG Live, hashtag SCGWOR for your tweets as you make it through our elimination rounds. Let's see who's going to move on to the semifinals to play against the winner of Andrew Jessup, who is playing Elves, the #1 overall seed, and Anurag Das, who is playing Miracles. Our only Miracles player in the top 8. Very popular deck this weekend, though.
Yeah, our most popular deck on day 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
For Miracles, I do not believe that is the case. But more and more people are giving it a try, and more people are liking what they see.
And it wasn't even, if you add up all the Delver decks, those are going to be the most popular decks collectively in the room on any given weekend. But it wasn't even like if you added all the Delver decks together, it was that much more than the Miracles decks. Miracles was a huge portion of the room, relatively speaking.
It's a flooded strand to begin things here for Jones. David Long kept 7 this go around, so see how he starts off the game. Let's start with the Mox Diamond. That's going to resolve, discarding a Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale.
Mox Diamond is subtly a really important card for David in the post-board games because it gives him a lot of play against Blood Moon. He can still function even if he happens to get locked up for a little while.
Here's a copy of Exploration. See if this resolves. Looks like that's good to go. 2 lands and Grove of the Burn Willows and Schadenport. Does he have a Loam too? And geez, oh Pete, this is a draw.
Okay, well. Hope you have rest in peace soon, Kevin.
I would have kept 2. It's a good keep by David.
It looked like Kevin's keep is pretty land heavy. Vendilion Clique, Force of Will, and some lands, I believe.
Little dredge action here from Long. No lands. Exploration 2 Mox Diamonds. You wonder how many lands he has in his deck after sideboard. 35 to start.
Some of them are potentially cuttable. Though, I think the only ones that do not make mana in the deck are Glacial Chasm, Dark Depths, and the Tabernacle of Pendle Vale. Definitely has his Dark Depths still in his deck. Tabernacle's in his hand. Glacial Chasm is suspect against Kevin, not a requirement, so that might have gotten cut. But Maze of Ith as well, which also didn't get cut.
Indeed. Loam for nothing. Play a Tabernacle. Pass the turn back. We're going to head back Jones's way. He'll draw a card. Fetch land's super important for Kevin, so he doesn't have to worry about Wasteland or Schadenport. But he'll have to crack those at some point.
Yep.
Players in the modern PIQ.
And he knows, especially if they're getting non-basics, there might only be one use here.
Judges are currently taking them to the pairings boards as well.
Kevin will play a
Please
Tundra.
check your pairings and move
Pass the turn
quickly
back.
to your seats.
David going to dredge Loam. Can he find lands this time? He found, looks like 2. A Taigun of Verdant Catacombs to go along with a Gamble. We are still in Long's draw step, I believe. Feels like Kevin wants the Vendilion Clique here.
Yep. Hoping to catch the Loam in hand.
So he'll sacrifice both of his fetch lands, search for an island with 1. I imagine a basic plains with the other. But it could be an island. So 2 islands. And I believe a Vendilion Clique on the way here in the draw step to snag that Loam. Anurag Das with Miracles up a game now over Andrew Jessup. Took a little longer than I thought it might. Keep
Well,
the matchup.
when it's taken that long, it's probably no good for Elves regardless.
That's true.
And we had that match of the Players' Championship of Reed Duke against Ross, and one of those games was a marathon affair.
A really good one, too. There's Vendilion Clique. Exploration, Life from the Loam, and Crows and Grip for the cards here for Long. Loam to the bottom. Mystery card coming. Of course, David does have a lot of redraws towards Loam, given that he has other copies of Loam and Gamble. And if David boarded in the choke, now would be a pretty good time to draw it.
Would not be bad.
Some more expert analysis here in the booth.
Combination with the Tabernacle at Pendle Vale.
It is, yes. And he drew a Gamble, so
Standard players,
that's not
is
so
there
bad.
anyone still trying to find their seat?
And Kevin has to force a will this if he can.
Yes, he
because this
does.
just gets Loam, and then all the trouble starts anew.
Force of Will removing Snapcaster Mage will take care of the Gamble. David with Exploration in hand will just pass the turn back. Kevin going to pay for the Tabernacle. He's passed that test.
Standard players, welcome
Portal
to
tap the
final
island,
Alex
pass the
list
turn
before
back.
top 8. One last reminder,
All things considered, Kevin looking to be in pretty good shape right now, and he actually just peeled a copy of Rest in Peace.
Yep. The problem is that it doesn't take a lot for David to fend this off. If he finds Maze of Ith, then Kevin's back kind of spinning his tires a little bit, but this is a pretty good setup.
Modern players who are not yet in your seats, you should be moving towards them at this time. For those of you who
And
are
because of
seated,
David's
if
Crozan
you do
grip,
not yet have
Kevin is not going to
an
deploy the
opponent,
recipes
please raise your
until
hand
it
and
actually
help
gets
them
something
find their
relevant out of the
seats.
graveyard. He's not going to cast it just to be mana efficient.
All David can do is pass the turn back. You can see the difference between this deck when it has Loam and when it doesn't.
Yep. And in the post-board games, Kevin gets a little bit better at fighting
Are
it.
there any modern players not in their seats at this time?
Vendilion Clique to pay 1 to keep it thanks to the Tabernacle. Kevin does so yet again. There is a volcanic island.
Modern players,
This is an attack for 3.
welcome to
Long is down
round
to 14.
7. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Pass that turn back. And given how many people we have seen kind of fail the Tabernacle Pendril Veil test with their creature, I don't expect Kevin to do it, but even a player of his caliber still keeping a die on top of the deck does not want to make that mistake right now.
No. Especially against the Italian one.
True.
The more deceptive of the
Yes,
two.
the enemy. Portal tap down the volcanic island. And then Vendilion Clique going to keep trucking on along for 3 points of damage in the air. Long going to go down to 11. David maybe hoping to draw a Mazavith here to slow this beat down.
He has crop rotation in hand, but I don't think he wants to crop rotate for a maze. He'd rather give himself more time.
Draw it just like that.
Yeah.
Now you have to pay a mana for your creature, and it doesn't deal any damage. Poor going to take care of something here, the volcanic island. This is what this land deck can do. It is annoying.
Yeah, Kevin's got more than enough mana to function this game, so I don't think the land denial element of David's deck is going to matter all that much.
Good attack.
Ladies and
Put him to the test.
Make him do it.
We have 1 spot.
I can appreciate that.
In the last draft of the weekend. 1 spot remaining in the last draft.
Misty Rainforest here for Long. Can't forget Long does have a copy of Crow's Grip in hand, so that's part of the reason you're not going to see Rest in Peace enter the battlefield at this point.
Yeah, Kevin's going to wait until he gets the Loam.
Kevin will draw. As you mentioned, a lot of lands. That's not the problem. Maybe too many lands. Keep on coming in. Mazavith says no. Pass the turn back. Long going to sacrifice that fetch and go down to 10. We'll see a basic forest or a Taiga come out of the deck.
There's some big draws, though, in Kevin's deck at this point. Trinity Nemesis is really good, and Jace the Mind Sculptor could just be...
He lights out.
Could be lights out.
I wouldn't be unhappy with a dig through time.
No, take the time with play. Another incentive for Kevin not to play the Rest in Peace until he's ready to go.
Yep. Long will draw. Play a Thespian stage. Still with grip and exploration in hand.
Remember, with that crop rotation, he can set up Merit Lage at a moment's notice. Unlikely to go for it just now. But if Kevin ever taps out or taps too low, David may just go for Merit Lage.
Come on in here, Vendilion Clique. Took 3 that time.
Okay.
This is why you keep attacking. There's the real possibility that David may forget.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the Modern Challenge.
I'm curious
your
because
next round
David's
is
been
going up.
thoughtful
Modern
enough that it seems odd that he would have
Please
simply
flash
forgotten.
your
I
seats.
understand why. Because he's going for the kill this turn, and he doesn't want Vendilion Clique to be untapped to chump block.
Makes a little more sense now. Okay. Yeah, because he can add the mana with a Mox Diamond. Yep. He floated a mana with the port. Now he's just going for the W. It does make some sense. Kevin going to sacrifice, I believe, while he's tapped out, which I think is wise.
I like David going for it. His hand's not really... Ultimately, it ends up in the same spot. He goes for the kill. So, might as well prevent as many draw steps as possible on Kevin's side of the table.
There's the Swords of Plowshares. David going to gain 20 lives up to 27 now.
And the worst case scenario is, well, you're using some resources that don't do a lot else anyway.
He's not doing much right now.
Yeah.
Punishing Fire the draw. Pretty good one. And David will take care of that Vendilion Clique. Spell Snare in hand here for Jones. Protecting the Vendilion Clique doesn't seem to do all that much, however, now. Given the Tabernacle in play, that's kind of eating away at the mana on the Maze of It, that's causing some trouble too.
Yeah, and David has multiple paths here to generate green mana, basic force into Mox Diamond in the event that Kevin plays Blood Moon. So David can afford to tap low here. Doesn't have to have the mana available right now.
Clique is down. Here's a Brainstorm. Finally a little action. Jones will draw 3 cards, of course, put 2 back, and with 2 fetch lands in play, he'll be able to shuffle away any garbage that he finds. Shooting Nemesis is probably the best draw here.
Oh, I'm looking for Jace. Jace could lock David up very easily from this position.
Yeah, Jace is probably pretty good. I mean, Punishing Fire does a decent job of controlling Jace, but David also doesn't have a ton of lands to really go crazy with Punishing Fire.
And I really like the patience that David has demonstrated here with Tranquil Thicket, waiting to be able to cycle it in response to a Rest in Peace to get his Loam back.
Here's Loam. There's Spell Snare. That'll counter it for now. And it looks like David might be just cycling right now. He'll play Exploration. I'll just pass turn back, so actually he might lose his Loam now.
May have mistook a card in hand for Tranquil Thicket. Thought he drew it several turns ago. In any case, now his graveyard liable to get blown up here by the Rest in Peace.
Here's Dig Through Time. That's a big draw from Kevin. Because now you can actually find some real action. Tree Nemesis, Jace the Mind Sculptor, both really good right now. Blood Moon.
Yeah, David's got answers to Blood Moon. He does have Crozan Grip, and he's got a Forest and Mox Diamond in play.
Yeah.
I think Jace is the real prize here. If Kevin gets to it, he can start face sealing David after nuking his graveyard, Rest in Peace, and it's going to be hard for David to fight through that.
Meddling Mage might be okay at shutting off Punishing Fire. So there's some decent options here. Looks like Kevin's taking Meddling Mage and Counterspell. Five cards go to the bottom of the deck, of course. 2 go to the Grip. Dig Through Time done resolving. And Jones will untap. Take a draw step. Kevin gonna start with Ponder. Get a better idea of what he's working with. He'll shuffle away. Dig Through Time been a pretty impressive card this weekend.
The format is a little bit slower. It's a little bit less about go, 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 now that Treasure Cruise is no longer around. And some of these decks that really value selection, like Miracles, have risen in popularity. And so Dig Through Time is now all over the place. Omnitel also helping that out quite a bit.
Yeah. Ponder again. Seems though Kevin is looking for something very specific. Ponder done resolving. There's a Plains. This is Meddling Mage. We'll see what that will name. as it is clearly resolving. It'll be naming Punishing Fire. And now Rest in Peace will KO the Graveyards. So some good work that turn by Jones.
And a Meddling Mage set to Punishing Fire means a second lane Meddling Mage set to Loam is very hard for David to operate through.
Indeed. Gamble the draw. It's a very hard lock. Quick update for you guys. Paul Lynch, Michael Derricksko. They're going to game number 3. Death and Taxes and Grixis Control for those players. Good try, Meddling Mage.
Test the waters.
Absolutely.
It's been a couple turns.
Yep. See if his head's still in it. Oof. Meddling Mage number 2.
I think David needs to respond here with a Crozan Grip because otherwise, if Kevin names Crozan Grip, Rest in Peace is just in play.
Yep. That would be bad news all around. You said it during the sideboarding. Kevin's deck gets a lot better after sideboard.
Yeah, these sideboard cards do matter.
There's Crozan to take care of the Rest in Peace. So we'll see what Kevin wants to name with this other Meddling Mage. He's going to name Crozan Grip with this one.
Now you feel like the noose is really tightening around David.
Yep. He's not operating on very many lands. He's not really doing anything unfair. His engine is not going at all at this point. When the land stack really kind of gets shut off, it looks bad.
Yep. I think that David's path at this point is just to hope to draw Dark Depths and Thespian Sage together before Kevin can find Source of Plowshares.
At least it's a path of victory.
Yeah, it's the Graveyard, the Loam engine, I think it's pretty well cut off for the remainder of this game.
It's certainly better than no path to victory. David going to take a look at his options in his sideboard. We've seen him do this before. Just wants to make sure he knows exactly what he has access to.
Yep.
Do I have any outs in this situation, or should I get ready for a third game?
Yeah, depending on his Dark Depth Thespian Sage count, he could be potentially locked up.
Yep. Looks like he has a stage in hand. Looking at all those cards that were exiled from Rest in Peace. He'll deploy the stage. And now he's going to gamble.
Ooh.
Aptly named.
I think this might be a gamble for Dark Depths, not for Loam.
Here's a counter spell. I would have preferred to see the gamble.
Yeah, of
resolve.
course. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not even...
I figured you were with me there.
Not even a question.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Make it interesting, Kevin. Better pay for both those Meddling Mages. There you go. He's on top of it. And now he starts to get to work in the red zone here soon enough. Looks like he might begin with a Brainstorm. He'll actually start with a Ponder. So, Kevin will take a look at 3 cards. We'll see if he wants to keep them. Meddling Mage is naming Punishing Fire and Crozan Grip currently.
And with the fetch lands plus the Brainstorm, Kevin's got a lot of control over what cards he sees here. There's only one goodie in there that he wants. He can get it, not to draw the stinkers.
Crocus. An answer to Dark Depths.
Not something that Kevin just wants to throw into play because of Wasteland, but a nice tool to have.
And for Port, too.
Yeah.
Polar Punch, claim that. If you played in the open and you have
There's a
not yet
Brainstorm.
redeemed your voucher, you only have until the end of today to do so.
Found a Jace finally.
Stage, you need to claim that.
And I think this may finally do it.
Yep. Normally it's the lands deck that is soft locking you or hard locking you, but that's actually what Kevin Jones is doing 2 lands right now.
Attacking the graveyard, using these melee mages that are very hard to kill. And then Jace, another soft lock on top of all the other soft locks that Kevin is establishing right now.
Kevin going to sacrifice both of his fetch lands here. He wants to get the Mind Sculptor into play, it seems. And really start locking up David's draw because David does not have any fetch lands, has no manipulation happening, so the Fate Seal would be very good. And Jones searches for a couple volcanic islands off of the Tar and the Flooded Strand. There's Caracas. And now here's Jace. That's going to resolve. Elevator's going to go up to 5, and it's going to be a Fate Seal party.
And most of David's cards here are pretty easy to leave on top of the deck.
There's some attacks. 2 damage is going to get through. One of them will get untapped. And as you said, most of the lands are going to stay on top.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't care about a ton here. Looks like Stage is going to copy Maze of Ith. Make it clear exactly what it is, so Kevin will set it over there. Same area. And then David will switch it back.
Well, I think he wants it divided by lands that produce mana and lands that don't.
Sure. Supposed to slap his hand. Don't touch my cards.
Yeah. Encroachment.
Fate Seal. Beatdowns.
Kevin, you're already getting your jollies here, looking at the top card of my deck. And
No,
deciding whether-
keep attacking. Do not stop attacking.
I'm saying
Are you kidding me?
No, to the card touching point.
Oh, okay.
You've already getting.
Okay.
If that's your thing, you already get it because of Jace.
All right.
You don't have to touch my thespian seed.
I thought you were going to say stop attacking.
No.
I was going to throw you out of here.
No. No.
Keep testing those waters, baby. Here's a dig through time. Kevin going to very wisely leave a counter spell in the graveyard in case he draws a Snapcaster Mage or finds one off this dig through time. Like that play a lot. And dig through time done resolving. Jones has found some cards he's happy with. Looks like one of them actually is a counterspell. Also found a copy of Rest in Peace, and now a Blood Moon. Sure.
Now, Blood Moon, in conjunction with Meddling Mage on Crozan Grip, that's combo 2. Another element of the lock.
True. Rest in peace. Now, who's the lock deck now?
Kevin, I'm losing track. I believe this is the 5th lock that he's putting into play.
Jace is going to tick up. Chances are he'll stay on top. Not a lot of cards too relevant here. Yep. Get him. All right. A little bit of a misstep there.
Yeah, could have Blood Mooned ahead of time.
And then get the damage in.
But again, as this is the 5th lock, all right, David's giving it
It
up.
takes the 5th one?
Yeah.
The 5th lock is what gets the job done?
I think that's the actual point of no return.
Yeah.
Before Blood Moon, there's at least some hope that maybe Thespian Sage plus Dark Depths are naturally drawn, and Kevin doesn't have an answer, and you can win that way.
But when there's Rest in Peace, Blood Moon, Jace, Meddling Mage on Punishing Fire,
That's
Meddling
the
Mage on
last.
Grip, that's it.
Well, David was aware of his outs the whole way through.
Sure.
He knew that he was still playing. It was a low percentage game, but not totally hopeless. And then when Blood Moon came down, he realized that's the actual check mark. No more playing to be done.
Jones tied it up here against against David Long. And now we'll get ready for game number 3 between Jeskai Stoneblade and Lands. So both these players are going to take a look at each other's deck list yet again. and get ready. You see the sideboards available to each of them. Not sure if a ton changes for player draw here for either player.
No, I don't think so. I mean, David's sideboarding is pretty much just influenced by the cards that Kevin's bringing in, the Crozane grips mostly. Kevin's cards that are good, kind of good regardless of whether or not he's on the player on the draw. And so you're going to see, I think, mostly the same structure. It's possible David doesn't like some of the lands that he had in his deck, given the way that game went out. Maybe he doesn't want Tabernacle anymore, for example, but
Possibly. We'll see.
wasn't very impressive there.
Well, we will discuss Star City Games game night. A very successful promotion thanks to you guys at home and the players, of course, for participating. We're able to do cool stuff for May, June, and July. Great thing about this, too, is that it's able to be any format. Before, kind of made it just standard, but then we opened it up to whatever night you want to do it, whatever format you want to do it
Yeah,
to.
we just want the stores to be able to adapt the program to their player base, and different player bases have different needs. So stores can run this any day of the week, any format, just to get players in their store for some fun and friendly magic. This is the May kit. Obviously, we're getting towards the end of May. This is the June kit coming up. It's too late to get signed up for the Bunny kit in June, but if you want to get the Piglet in July, head over to StarCityGames.com/game night for more information, or contact your Star City Games organized play representative.
I just want the Piglet. I'm just honest. I want that thing. The boots are a great touch.
Yeah.
Whoever thought of that, maybe a raise. Day off of work.
The Star City
A raise
Games-
is strong.
The brains behind the Star City Games Creature Collection series, a lot more creative than myself.
Oh, same. Same. I'm not very creative at all. Just don't really have that creativity in me.
Well, everyone has different creativity that manifests in different ways, but let's come up with 12, animals, but have them have sort of cute humanistic sort of quirks in the artwork.
That's not you.
Not really my thing.
Do you have a thing?
I have a lot of things. I don't know. Again, I don't know if we can get into it, but yeah.
Later, off air.
Yeah,
at
off
the,
air.
At the Unos. At the Unos.
At the Unos,
All
we'll
right,
talk about
fair
it.
enough.
Yep.
We'll see if our number one player here in Season 2, Kevin Jones, can overcome what looks to be a pretty bad matchup, especially on the draw now, too. His deck does get a lot better after sideboard.
Well, you saw that Kevin's got some actual game. Game 1, he can't interact at all. He has no graveyard disruption. His deck is slow and ponderous and trying to attack with creatures, and lands choose those kind of decks up. But after sideboard, Blood Moon, Rest in Peace, Meddling Mages, those cards interact with what David's doing. And David's deck can kind of only do the one thing. If he meets resistance, he can't play back very effectively.
Quick update for you guys. Paul Lynch with Grixis Control, who again will be featured on the Open Series Spotlight this week on the Open Series, on the premium side of Star City Games by Todd Anderson, running his deck through a daily event. Well, Paul's running it through this tournament. He's on to the top 4. Beat Michael Derrickso, playing Death and Taxes. So we'll have Paul Lynch against Noah Walker in the semifinals.
Young Pyromancer mirror match.
Should be sweet. Haven't seen one of those for a while.
Card clearly still good, even with no Treasure Cruise in the format.
David off to a nice start here. Mox Diamond, discarding Glacial Chasm, Wooded Foothills. I'll search up a little bit of manas. He'll get himself a basic forest and perhaps even a life in the loam.
Yeah, David's trying to give himself as much protection as possible against Blood Moon. So he's got a Mox Diamond in play, though Kevin has a Wear Tear, so no guarantees he doesn't play the entire game. Forest does a lot of work.
There's loam. These are those very keepable hands from the lands deck. Turn 1 loam. Never going to be unhappy with that.
Yeah, no exploration, but still a very solid opening.
Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn. Long Will Dredge. 2 Grove of the Burn Willows and a Dark Depths.
Remember, this gets a little more complicated for David post-board because Rest in Peace is in play.
Can't just go crazy.
Yep, Vendilion Clique also a factor
Yep.
in how David wants to manage his loam.
Loam will target those 3 lands. Kevin's going to have a response by sacrificing Scalding Tarn. We'll see what land he wants to search up and how he wants to respond accordingly. He'll search for a basic island. Gotta always be concerned about Wasteland when playing against a land stack. 4 copies, and if they could play 5, they would. Here's a Brainstorm in response. Two cards going back. Brainstorm done resolving. That means Loam is resolving. So long will draw 3. Very Ancestral Recall-esque.
But you can only get lands. Ancestral typically more powerful when you're finding spells.
Excuse me? You can use your lands to cast your spells.
That's true. Yeah, it's all interlocking pieces.
Rather have lands. And this deck, the lands are the spells. Here's your Grove of the Burn Willows. Yeah, the only thing that David's missing here is a Mana Bond or an Exploration to really get going.
Yep. And, you know, Kevin can nip this all in the bud with just casting Rest in Peace next turn.
Yep.
So, David's nice opening. Kevin can actually break up here as opposed to game 1 where there was not a lot Kevin could do.
Well, he's going to break it up. There's Rest in Peace. Jones going to make him earn it, that's for sure.
Ooh, David's got an enchantment of his own over there.
Oh, choked him up real good?
Oh,
The fun of.
get him.
Okay. This isn't even a Teamer Delver. You can't just say get him whenever you want.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
All right, well, he played a Wasteland, so now you can say get him. Got him.
Got him.
Choke.
Get him with the dirty white border one, too. I love it.
Oh, boy. One good enchantment deserves another,
Yeah, that's a one-up.
right? Oh, look, an island. Better make it count.
Yep.
Pass the turn back.
Rashad and Port. Oh, he's got crop rotation. Go get a port.
Find the port.
That's my kind of game. Go at him.
Yeah, here we go. Land Destruction Patrick has come out, folks.
Well, whatever. After what Kevin did in game 2, I mean, it's only fair to go back and try to lock him the most painful way possible.
I suppose that's true.
The old chokehold.
Literally.
Or you could just manual style the Dark Depths. I'm fine with that too.
Ah, thought out.
Yep.
There's a Flooded Strand.
A lot of pressure on Kevin to find his wear tear now.
Yeah.
Gonna be hard for him to play very much Magic and choke stage and play for the whole game.
I like that both players are trying to prevent the other player from playing Magic in the sideboarding games.
Yeah, I mean,
That's just the best part.
Kevin's natural game plan doesn't really do anything against lands. He has to try to lock him out of the game. And instead of David trying to slog through the sideboard cards, why not just lock Kevin out of the game?
Yep. We do have an update for you on another match here. Andrew Jessup, number 1 overall seed. He was down a game against Miracles, but he pulled it out. Moves on to play the winner of this match here. So congratulations to Andrew Jessup, getting by a really tough matchup there with Elves. He'll play either against Jeskai Stoneblade or lands.
So this is the crop rotation now, and Kevin knows the threat this represents, because if crop rotation can get Thespian Sage, which is bad news, or if David wants to play it safe, he can just go get Rashad and Port.
Yeah, and start locking up lands.
Yep.
Tap your Flooded Strand, destroy it, stuff like that. Or just tap your island down. And, well, Kevin's island is tapped down now for good because he used it for a Brainstorm.
So now David could go get a port the Flooded Strand. That forces Kevin to do something with it. A Plains in the long term doesn't give Kevin a lot of play, and if he gets an island, David can untap and port it.
David can just go get the stage, man.
If you go and get the stage, then you have to worry about planes and swords of plowshares.
That's annoying. Or I could just win.
Well, I think either path leads to victory, but one is much more excruciating. This to me is not close. I'm getting Rashad Import.
Yeah, I'm getting Dark Depths.
I'm cinching in the sleeper hold.
Yeah, we have different. I'm getting Desmond Sage because we have different definitions of get 'em. I want a 2020 you're real good. Avatar token.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine, I guess. I don't know.
So, do you have it, or if you ever play a Magic against me, that's how I play Magic is, do you have it?
Yep.
If you do, you probably win. You don't, you're dead. David Long wins this game and match here over Kevin Jones, 2-1. Lance takes care of Jeskai Stoneblade. A great tournament for Jones.
Big performance.
Opening his lead here on the Season 2 race for the Players' Championship. The odds-on favorite coming into our Season 2 Invitational. But he's knocked out in the quarterfinals. We'll have David Long against Andrew Jessup. Lands versus Elves. I'm curious to see how that one goes. And then semifinals.
I suspect